Well, joining us to discuss this further on the phone line is WATA spokesperson, Mr. George Mapalala. Good evening to you, sir, and thank you for joining us here on ANN7 this evening. Can you just give us further details as to what exactly took place earlier today in Soweto?
Yeah, good afternoon to you and your viewers. Thanks for having me. This morning we marched to the MEC of Transport, but unfortunately they decided to stop us at John Street. And then we met a board member who took the memorandum on behalf of all the stakeholders. So he promised us that he will make means to arrange a meeting between the two associations. Unfortunately, until now, he hasn't done that.
Mr. Mapalala, there was allegations of some sort of violence that took place today between two taxi associations, one of them being WATA. Are you aware of this situation, and can you give us any details with regards to why that situation took place?
Unfortunately, I didn't see that, but as I was coming from town, I received a call that one of our drivers has been killed at Mufolo, which I did run and witness that, and he was taken to hospital where he was certified dead on the arrival.
Mr. Mapalala, are you at any point, or were you at any point aware of issues of taxi violence involving the taxi association that you represent and another taxi association by the name of Nandue?
What do I know about it?
Do you know of any sort of taxi violence between these two taxi associations?
Yes, I know.
What is the bone of contention here?
You know what happened? I don't know how, when they feel, but always when they feel like doing it, they just stop our cars and shoot randomly, injure our drivers, and then we had to pull off our drivers and try and to speak to all the relevant stakeholders with no help. And then we go back and start working. They'll take 2-3 weeks, and then they'll start again, shooting our drivers, killing them, beating them. Until now, recently, where we heard that the government has given them the right to operate in these routes, and we are not being given that opportunity to be called in and be told what are the developments concerning the routes in dispute. But they've been told that these are routes without notifying us and telling us. And I'm afraid, because I understand the Minister of Transport has issued a statement to say he did call in the Port Association, which is not true.
Spokesperson, have you at any point, or your association at any point, approached maybe Santaco or the courts to intervene in this sort of behavior, and what was the outcome?
We have contacted our structure, which is our mother body, is UTAF. So I understand they are also doing it somehow, somewhere, I don't know. There are too much structures in the government. I understand even today they had a meeting at 3 o'clock. We are still waiting for the results and be told what was the outcome of that meeting, which were held today at 3 o'clock.
Spokesperson, just lastly, are you aware of a ruling that took place in March this year after Nandue applied for an interdict, actually accusing WATA of ignoring previous orders, and where the court ruled that WATA should stop the likes of intimidating, assaulting, threatening and blocking Nandue from actually operating? Are you aware of this court ruling, and have you applied that and stopped that as an association?
Yes, we did abide by that court ruling. We did comply, and we did all our best, because the ruling was that we must not intimidate, we must not assault, we must not do whatever is unlawful. And we must work according to the 50-50 system, which was doing very well. It was going very well, until one of the government department recklessly issue a letter and say, go and stop water from operating in this road and that and that. To our surprise, when we wake up the next morning, there was a lot of security, police and so forth, and said, where did you get this? And then we went to Vadi's office. Unfortunately, they said Vadi is somewhere else, but he sent his HOD, which the HOD sticks to the same rule and say, please stick to 50-50 basic until we resolve the matter amicably. And we go back and stick to that 50-50.
We hear you, spokesperson.
All of a sudden, how our drivers were stopped from operating, and there was a private cars which were employed, killing our members. And we reported this to all the relevant stakeholders, but we never get a help from them until we must go around that there are police who are having cars who has joined the opposition party. Those are the people who caused this. We also try to let the relevant stakeholders to check if this is true or false, that there are police members who have cars operating under the name of Nandua. And to me, really, I'm smelling a rat, because whenever we are called by the mother bodies or the structures, Nandua is not there. They are always not there. And when they are being asked where are they, their chairman, we are told he's Weshile.
Well, thank you very much, spokesperson. We think we've heard your side of the story. We do appreciate you sharing your views and concerns with us here on ANN7. That was Mr. George Mapalala from WATA. He's the WATA spokesperson, just giving us some further insight and details with regards to the taxi violence incident that unfolded earlier today in Soweto. Stay tuned to ANN7. We are going to keep you up to date with the latest details and developments. Well, this is with regards to the ongoing taxi violence that we've seen really across South Africa, but more specifically in Soweto this morning. How it unfolded was that Soweto commuters were stranded today as a taxi strike gripped the area. 3 men were arrested for the possession of unlicensed firearms as the discontent over route allocations turned violent. Let's just take a listen into what ANN7 reporter Lungani Nguni has uncovered.
Taxi ranks in Soweto stood empty as the rivalry between two taxi associations reached boiling point.
It started yesterday morning, whereby our drivers were doing their usual job, only to find out they are being shot at and thrown by stones by the rival association. We tried to calm things down yesterday afternoon, but unfortunately we couldn't meet our rivals. Then we made a march this morning so that we must put to attention to the government to address the problem we are having now.
Commuters were left in limbo as taxi associations clashed, resulting in 3 arrests for the possession of unlicensed firearms.
The police have managed to cool the situation by arresting 3 suspects, and we will be continuing monitoring the situation.
The Department of Roads and Transport in Gauteng has pleaded with WATA and Nandue to lodge their grievances with the national regulatory entity.
This kind of intimidation that has happened is completely unacceptable. We condemn it. I must indicate that 2 people have already been arrested by the police, and we commend the police for the swift action that has been taken. They've been allegedly carrying unlicensed firearms, so it is a matter of serious concern. It means people want to come and harm other people. I know that the law enforcement agencies are on standby. They are monitoring the situation very, very closely. But one thing we can tell you, blockades and lawlessness will not resolve this problem.
The Department of Roads and Transport has appealed to both members of the taxi associations to abide by the ruling. And if one is unhappy or feel aggrieved by the ruling, they are allowed to formalize and lodge their complaint with the NRE entity. Lungani Mnguni, NN7, Johannesburg.
Well, let's continue this discussion this evening, and I want to ask our viewers to please call us and share your views and comments with us as well this evening. That number will flash on your screen shortly. Joining me in studio is Mr. Ralph Jones, Secretary General of Santaco for Gauteng. Good evening to you, sir, and thank you for joining us here on ANN7. I just want to find out your knowledge with regards to this ongoing issue between WATA and Nandue. Are you aware of this, and what exactly is going on here, according to Santaco?
Yeah, look, this is a long-standing issue, and the government is aware of it. And you know, what perturbs us the most is, as the MEC says, I mean, why can't they curb the matter? They know who is wrong. They know you cannot have 2 associations sharing a route. Obviously, that's a recipe for violence. And I mean, they've got resources, they've got the law enforcement that should be curbing this here. It's not necessary. If at all there's a ruling that has been put in place, why can't they act on that ruling and do the most thing that they're supposed to do? All right, and that is to, the law enforcement should be in place. But at this point in time, I mean, there's always a blame game to say the tax is this, the tax is that. No, let them look at what causes that, because 2 associations cannot share a route, of course.
So is this issue based solely on routes and the bone of contention around routes? You also said, Mr. Jones, that government is aware of these issues. Have you engaged with government? What exactly are they saying with regards to why they haven't taken action yet?
Government have engaged with both parties. Government have engaged with the associations. Why there's no solution, I mean, it baffles us as well. Because why should people die? I mean, why should commuters be inconvenienced?
Definitely.
Whereby the government should be taking strides to ensure that this is a public transport. You know, it's a responsibility of the government to ensure
people depend on it.
Exactly. You know, so now at the end of the day is the blame game must stop. All right. If at the end of the day we need to sit around the table, the government, they just need to take action. They need to take a position to say this is what we are seeing as government. But this of law enforcement, you cannot come and negotiate law enforcement. Absolutely, you can't do that. And that will be the reason why there's chaos out there, because instead of looking at where the problem is, they're looking at who is it that is involved.
Mr. Jones, with regards to possible action that can be taken in this regard, you know, is the taxi industry regulated already? What are those regulations, and should those regulations maybe be tightened? What's the best option here for a solution?
According to the Act number 5 of 2009, I mean, we exist, you know. Although regulation, we've been talking to government about that we need self-regulation, but it's coming at a slow pace. There's a lot of transformation out there. Right now, I mean, we're looking at following what the others are doing with radical transformation that should be taking place. And as leadership, we are looking at turning that around as well. Because we cannot always be looking, we need to count profit. We need to count cents, rands and cents out there, and not we must come and count cops. That is, every time there's a conflict, we can't do that.
Mr. Jones, you did mention that, you know, government is aware of the situation. Government knows who's in the wrong. There's been court application, court hearings and court rulings. But what role does Santaco then play in ensuring that, you know, these applications and hearings are adhered to and the taxi associations are falling in line?
As a structure, if the matter is already into the court, there's court interdicts, then our hands are tied, because that's where the government comes in. Because all they need to do is now to implement that, send the sheriff, send law enforcement to go implement that. With us as a structure, I mean, we've done our best to say who and how and when. Now the government is where they come in now to say, yes, we have gone with this process. The courts have decided this is what is happening. So all you need to do is bring both parties to the table and say, weld your finger and say, stop this thing, and then you must go and work.
Mr. Jones, sorry to cut you off there. We are running out of time. Earlier I spoke to WATA's spokesperson, and he sort of hinted that certain taxi associations could have police officers in their pocket. Are you aware of any such instances? And could this possibly be one of the reasons why, the law is not taking its course?
Look, anybody can say anything. At this point in time, I don't think it will be time to point to say this is what is happening. There's a long process that should be in place where, we know government employees are not supposed to be in the industry. They cannot be a referee and a player. So if it does happen, then they need to be rooted out. And why keep quiet if you know that there are people of that element? Because then they're part of the problem.
Indeed.
So for us to clean this whole mess, we need to be bold and say who shouldn't be there. And the government must take strides in order to curb this thing.
Indeed. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Jones. Let's leave it there for now. Thank you very much for coming in and sharing your views and comments and clarifying some of those details for us. That was Mr. Ralph Jones, the Secretary General of Santaco for Gauteng, just talking to us about this incident that took place earlier today in Soweto, where taxi violence broke out between two taxi associations. We do know 3 individuals were arrested for illegal gun possession as well. But stay tuned to ANN7. We are going to keep you up to date with the latest details and developments here.